Hello, Phil Simborg for the USBGF with a Pay Now, Pay Later problem. And I'm going to be really proud of myself here and brag to you. I am an expert in this position. And why am I an expert in this position? I have my friend and my associate, David Rockwell, to thank for that. He reminded me of a strategy that's very useful in trying to understand any given position where you make a mistake or you have a problem or you don't completely understand it. Take the position and consider how you play every single possible role. Go through every single role and see how you play it. Then you'll really understand the position. Then go through little variations of the position. Change the score. Change the position of the cube. Change one or two checkers in your opponent's board. Well, before I go any further, let me ask you, this is a money game, or it could be 11 away, 11 away, and blue is holding a 2 cube and red has a 5-2 to play. How would you play it? Got your answer? What would you do? Well, the answer is, first of all, you pay later. It's very wrong to break this point and to leave the volunteer shot. It's also very wrong to break the 8 point and lose your landing place. You play it inside. So this play, by the way, I got wrong. I broke the 8 point, and I shouldn't have done either. So I really studied the position, and I got pretty good at it. Now, let me ask you another question. What if you rolled a 5-4? How would you play a 5-4? Well, I happen to know how to play a 5-4 because I've studied this position. I understand this position. Now, am I going to wait for this position to come up again in a match in the next 5 years and remember it? Maybe not. But if I remember the right plays and the right principles and think about why it's right and why it's wrong, I'm more likely to get pay now and pay later positions right. And they come up a lot. Here, it's right to leave the shot because you're only leaving 11 shots. Bring both checkers down is the correct play here. Would it still be right to leave the, let's see, what else? Oh, wait, 5-2, it's wrong. 5-4, it's right. What about in between? How do you play a 5-3? What do you think? Do you think it's right in the middle? Well, it is sort of in the middle, but it's still a huge blunder to leave the shot. What a difference it is between 5-3 and 5-4. What a big difference it is. Let me show you the answer. How wrong it is to volunteer here. The right play with a 5-3 is to play inside. And to volunteer would be an 11% error. And with a 5-4, it's right to volunteer. The difference between leaving 11 shots and leaving all threes plus a 2-1 is 13 shots is big. Enough to swing the difference. So, wait a minute. It's wrong to leave the shot with 5-2. What about if blue had a blot on his 5 point and had an open point? Certainly that makes it more exciting for you to want to leave the shot now, because if you don't leave the shot now, it's likely he's going to have a better board later. Does that reasoning apply here, or is it still wrong to volunteer? Well, it turns out it makes it super big to volunteer now. Now it's right to make this play, because he is going to have a better board later. Now, I challenge you, I challenge anybody to be smart enough to figure this stuff out on their own mathematically. It can be done, and it is all math, but it would be very challenging to add up the number of times you get hit, the number of times you lose when you get hit, the number of times you leave shots later, what happens to the race, what happens if he leaves a shot, how does this position change if he has less timing in his board. Would you wait longer in this case because he's more likely to break? Of course you would, but now the race is closer. The mathematics of this position is very tough. I maintain that some kinds of positions you just really have to study them. You have to look at the alternatives. You have to look at every play and every roll and then figure out what's the right play and why, and see if you can come up with reasons that make sense to you that would help you make the right play. In this case, with his board crashed, the right play, I'm pretty sure, is to clear the 8 point. Now you don't break your point, you don't break your board, because you're very likely to get a shot and you want to have a good point. There, you're going to get the shot before he will in most situations. So I would come off the 8 point here. I wouldn't volunteer, and I wouldn't crack off the 6 point. Let's see. And it's right by quite a bit. And volunteering, where is that? Wow, 60%. Not only are you volunteering when you don't necessarily need to, but he may well volunteer first. And the other thing is, by volunteering, you're really playing a racing game when you're behind in the race. So here, this screams at staying back and trying to get the shot. All of these factors come into play. How are you going to get better? You have to take the time. You have to pay your dues. This is a part of deliberate practice. Take a look at the position. Take David Rockwell's advice and try every variation and every roll within that position. How would you play a 4-1 here? How would you play a 3-2? How would you play a 6-4, 6-5? Go through every single roll. Then change Blue's position. Put it here. That could change a lot of the plays. That could change a lot of your thinking. That could change this play. Now, he's not less necessarily likely to lead the shot first. I think it does change my play. I'm not breaking the 8 point. I'm playing inside now because I'm the one that's more likely to need timing and need this landing spot. So now I'm playing off the 6 point. Let's see if it's right. Yep. I really have learned this position. Am I a genius? No. I'm someone who is reaping the benefits of taking the time to work at and study these positions. And when students come to me and they ask for, oh, give me a good rule of thumb for pay now, pay later. There is no such rule of thumb. Every position is so different. And as you can see, changing 1 or 2 checkers can change any given position. You have to be able to logically reason it out, and that takes work. And all of the things that we learn in the lessons about this position will not necessarily apply to a different kind of pay later, pay now position. And it might not apply if gammons have different values and at different scores. So you have to play with them and come up with the answer. I hope this didn't discourage you from studying. I hope it shows you why, with study, you can learn and get better. Even a guy like me, I learned from this position by playing with it and by moving the checkers around and checking my answers, and came up with the right plays most of the time now. In fact, every time. I'm proud to say in this video I came up with the right play. Am I a cheater? Yes, I did cheat. I looked at all these plays before. I studied it. And every time a really good player makes the right play over the board, you can say he's cheating because he already studied that. So that's my advice to you. Study these positions and you'll learn them. They're not beyond learning. They're not a mystery if you attack them in an organized fashion. Hope this was enjoyable for you. Hope you learned something. And thanks for watching. Bye-bye.